I'm ready.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to State of SWGOH with me, Stero, and the Lisol. And this is episode 2, part 2. Part 1 is over on Lysol's channel. Go give it a watch.
Please.
All right, so we are talking about the double drops announcement, which if you're in the SWGOH events server, you can see it was like something they did today, which is May 2nd as we're recording. And in this announcement, it's like, oh, May the 4th's coming. We're going to celebrate with you. Double drops are live on select nodes from the 4th to the 8th. And that was all the information we got on that. Select nodes, it's usually been all nodes,
For May
which
the 4th?
is pretty fantastic for May the 4th, yeah, I think.
I can never remember these things.
It's like the last 3 years have been on all of them, I think.
Yeah, only like the random double drops were on select nodes, like when they added drops for like Rex and Nisa and stuff, right?
Yeah, and usually it was like select nodes meant like all fleet battles or all hard battles.
They do that from time to time, though. Maybe not for May the 4th. I don't remember like particular dates, but they have done like, or maybe they'll do it like they've done in the past where May the 4th is fleet nodes, and May the 5th is Cantina nodes, and May the 6th is light side. May the 7th
I would be so annoyed if they did that.
They've done it before.
I would be so supremely annoyed if they did that. That would throw off everybody's hoarding, which I guess they don't want you to do, so there's that.
Right. I mean, they disincentivize it by doing it that way.
The thing that makes me think that it is going to be something weird like that is that it's a 4-day window. And on I think the last 2 times they did it was like 2 or 3 days when they did all nodes. And so 4 days seems very generous, and they didn't just say on all nodes. So I think something's fishy there. I don't know exactly what it'll be.
Yeah, I was wondering what your impression of it might be, what you think might happen.
Yeah, I think it might just be either one at a time, like per day, or they might just say, oh yeah, on all hard nodes, sorry that you hoarded all your fleet in Cantina and Mod Energy, but we're just not going to do double drops for that, which would be kind of a jerk move considering...
It'd be annoying, that's for sure.
Yep.
But they want certain behaviors out of us, and they will pull whatever moves they have to. If they think it won't lose them customers, they will do whatever move they think will get you to do whatever behavior they want. And they're pretty good at it. Well, let's give them credit. They're very good at social engineering.
Oh, this is... Okay. I didn't see this, but earlier today, Sig, who owns that server, said double drops will run from May 4th to 6th, which is at contradiction. So like in the data mines, it's at contradiction from what they said, which is the 8th. And it will be available on Mod, Cantina, Light Side, Dark Side, and Fleet nodes. So it's everything.
Yeah, that's what I read. And then there was the StarWars.com fiasco, which I find hilarious because this happens, like 3-4 times a year, where StarWars.com posts something that CG was keeping close to the chest, and it has happened yet again. I can't remember what the other instances were, but this happens regularly, which leads me to believe that the way that CG communicates with Disney, Star Wars, or Disney Lucasfilm, I think they communicate with CG, or CG communicates with EA, and
EA communicates with Disney.
Yeah, regardless of... So CG will be like, we're releasing Flobbledygook on May the 7,000th, but we don't want to announce it till 3 days before. And EA is like, ha, awesome. And Disney Lucasfilm's like, hey, we need any information you guys got on SWGOH because we're going to make a post. And they're like...
About May the 4th.
Yeah. And
like, here's the May the 4th information. Here you go.
Exactly.
And then they post it and everybody's like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Didn't know that was coming.
Yeah.
They like intentionally kept it out of the data mines. They intentionally... And that's something I've been seeing too, is they're okay with some things being data mined. Because I think it's actually healthy for player mentality to be able to expect stuff slightly in advance,
Right.
and that's why I think they continue to allow
like there's
that
no
stuff.
there's very few like true surprises.
Yeah.
The surprises are all generally like design end stuff. Like, oh, I didn't like when Ben Solo came out. Like, I was like, I was not expecting that, and turned out it was actually pretty awesome. Even as a sequel hater that I am, oh, that's a cool surprise. But that's like a design aspect because we knew the Conquest character was coming out and all that, and it's nice to see like, oh, we can expect this many marquee characters over this period of time, even though they've kind of gotten a habit and basically just do everything on a schedule at this point anyway, or roughly so anyway.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I guess that's all I had on the double drops.
Are you hoarding for it?
I am. Yep.
I
started hoarding like 2 days ago.
I just started today, and I was like, oh, I kind of missed the window, so I'm just lackadaisical about it. I'll do I'm still getting my tickets, but
yeah, so I'm still getting my tickets too, which is why I started so early, is so that I could start building up while still getting my
and not spending the super expensive refreshes either.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yeah. Just the 50s so far.
Yeah, I did a couple hundreds and regular energy. I'm not bothering with mod energy. Kind of half working on fleet energy, but I am doing Cantina because I want Stat to be friggin' done because
yeah,
I always dunk on people who cry about signal data when a Cantina node comes out, but this time it has been hurting me a little bit. I still have.
Isn't Staff on one of the most expensive nodes?
That's why it takes forever. Because like Hondo, it's like, oh, when that came out, I just farmed it in like a week and a half, and it was just done. Like we've been too used to these characters coming out on low Cantina nodes.
Yep. Yeah, this is 16 per node. Yeah, that's gonna take
with 3 refreshes. I get 30 sims on it a day. Well, I get like 36 sims on it per day if I pick up my bonus energy.
Mm-hmm. Which, with the drop rates, especially at single drops, it's
been wildly inconsistent, very streaky. I've gotten like 17 in a day, and I've gotten like 4 in a day. So I'm actually burning the double drops on Stap, and hopefully getting that done to 50 in my first like 1,000 energy or whatever I spent, and then moving on to the signal data.
Yeah, I'm going for Hyena Bomber,
dude,
and Marin to finish Marin to 7 stars.
Is Marin accelerated yet?
Yep, she just got accelerated like a couple weeks ago.
Nice. So it's a relatively easy farm.
Yeah, I mean it's a fleet node, so it's fine.
it's
fine.
Not
bad. I don't mind them. Honestly, it's like this will take me a couple months. Okay, that's fine.
You just
I'm so used to it now.
Yeah, if you just know like, hey, I'm not gonna get everything first time around. But if something comes out and I want it, I can farm it actively as soon as it becomes farmable, and I'll have it the second time around. Like, this game isn't as frustrating as people make it out to be, nor is it pay to win by any stretch of the imagination.
It's not. No, I think generally when people pay, it's because they like it and they want it. They just want the thing sooner. They're like, yeah, I acknowledge that I can get it.
When I spend money, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'll save a couple of days off of this.
All right, so up next, Jar Jar and his power creep. Today, Jar Jar came out. I was able to watch some of the events. By the way, the Jar Jar unlock event, especially the last node, is extraordinarily difficult at the standard unlock relic levels, which is relic 5. It looked super, super painful. Egnards did not look like he was having fun on it, at least on the last one. The first couple are kind of cool. They have nice cutscenes. The audio on Jar Jar is really good. He says stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
The character, he actually says voice lines, so that's pretty cool.
The design team, all of the different design elements, they always do a bang up job. Except for occasionally the in-game model, like Potato Ray, but they get a couple of passes. They do a really good job. I saw the animations on Jar Jar and it looks friggin' awesome. Like a lot of fun.
It's very funny. Jar Jar just like all of a sudden run towards the enemy team, falls over, and a bunch of big Boombas come over and smash the enemy team for a lot of damage. By the way,
so
Jar Jar. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to get your impressions on what the mod check and gear check is like in that, because I'm actively working towards getting Jar Jar the second time around, and I'd like to know if how hard I need to mod this team, or I'll probably take them to 7 anyway because they're going to be the raid team. So
yeah, I don't take advice from me because I only observed. Yeah. So that's first point. But from what I saw, you want good mods on them, but you want different mods on them than what you're going to normally want. So it'll be one of those events where you take your best mods from like your GLs and stuff, put them on just for the event, do the event, and then put on whatever you had earlier. Because for the event, you want a ton of speed, because you're basically just burning down stacks of droids for a lot of it. And so it doesn't matter how much damage you do in a fair amount of them.
Is this towards the last one, a preview of the raid like Leia was?
We were thinking, or people were thinking that it was a preview of the raid. And it's essentially like various compositions of droids, but like the B1 droids have like 400 stacks, something insane like that.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. I think the raid is going to be a little bit more involved than just like a wave base.
I mean,
but I think
I'm certain, but this is like the bones of the raid, basically.
Or I think so. I think so, probably.
In a similar way to the Leia event was to the speeder bike raid.
Yeah, although I think the speeder bike raid was just a very simplistic format. Like, there's not a lot going on. It's just you're driving a bike, and it's the exact same. Whereas other raids, like you have scenery changes and little cutscenes. I think this new raid is going to have cutscenes and scenery changes, like there were, because there was a ton of new scenery. We got the battlefield on Naboo with droids and tanks and the shield generator. We got the streets of Theed. We got the hangar bay, and we got the throne room as all new backgrounds.
I mean, this will be the first time in the history of the new raid format that we'll have had, if you're right, multiple stages, basically. Like,
yeah, so I don't know.
I'm thinking like the AAT raid, where the stage 1 is in a certain area. I don't remember what they were anymore. And stage 2 is in another area fighting different enemies. And stage 3, you're fighting the tank that's blown up or something. I don't quite remember, but something along those lines.
I was thinking more of it would be like a random encounter type thing.
Okay.
Which would be horrible, honestly, now that I think about it. That would be absolutely awful to have to restart until you get the ideal situation for the team you're bringing in.
That's pretty sweaty, but people are very sweaty about this game, so I can see it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I remember in the crate raid, bringing in Boba Fett solo at Relic 8 and just restarting until he didn't die on the first one.
But that's really easy, though. That's like... Basically, once you get the right start, where he doesn't get dazed and then stunned, then you just hit one button and it's over. You got the max score that you can. So that's a little bit
different, is really easy.
But yeah.
So I think this next raid will be fun. But Jar Jar. Other thing about Jar Jar is the team is very, very strong.
Yeah.
It was beating some GLs. It beats SLKR, which is not surprising. But SLKR beats it on offense, so it's just kind of... SLKR just always gets beat on defense these days.
Yeah, and also beats everything on offense, or most things.
Honestly, that's a great design. I like that design. If you're going to design an offensive hero, have them be actually garbage, not Leia garbage on defense.
Yeah. Oh, Leia's one of the only teams that gets me holds anymore. So, like...
Well, remember, because CG said, "Oh yeah, Leia's going to be an offensive-only GL. You're not going to want to put her on defense."
Yeah,
and then we got her like, excuse you? This is a defensive GL if I've ever seen one.
One of the only, like, she is great on offense. She beats everything on offense, including herself. But I still like I like my chances better with her on defense.
Mm-hmm.
But
so
what about this power creep? What concerns you about this?
I just, in order to create teams that are sellable, they need to have some sort of new gimmick that kind of makes them a cut above a significant amount of the other teams. And one thing that has been dominant in the game meta for a long, long time has been percent health effects. That's why Bane having the reduced percent health effect damage and the GLs having reduced percent health effect damage makes them so strong, is because you can't blitz them down with CLS. You can't
Chewbacca,
destroy them with Radis. You can't, and there's a lot of teams that rely on percent health effects, and like Malik is
exposed teams don't work.
Yep. So your exposes, your death marks, your percent health effects that are like on Malik, and I think Newt also, his extortion effects, some of them do a percent health. But yeah, so they're moving away from that, or they're moving towards teams that aren't affected by that, which is the Gungans, because they have that passive that converts 75% of their health into like 75% of protection.
Right.
But then their shield generator with Jar Jar prevents them from losing health while they still have protection, or while the shield generator is up. So like you can't hit under their protection, like with repost from Dooku.
It's almost gas-like.
Yeah, it's like gas, except you've got the shield generator as gas essentially. So to me, I don't know, like if they start making a bunch of squads that aren't affected by percent health effects, that like those squads don't necessarily have to be super overpowered.
Right.
But they become very survivable.
Yeah, very difficult to kill with traditional teams.
Yes. Which means you have to overkill them, or what? I don't know. Like if you start making these teams that are super survivable, and the only way you can kill them is to overkill them. You know what? Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe people have been complaining so much about there not being a defensive meta that they're starting to release teams where it's like, well, you've got all these extra teams, so you're gonna have to overkill this one. And then you're going to have to overkill this one, and all these old teams aren't going to work anymore. But that also
devalues. Is Jar Jar going to be a defensive team? Because it doesn't read like a defensive team to me.
I think it's going to be a defensive team.
Damn it! I actually wanted to play with this team.
I mean, it's going to be good on offense either way. But I think it's going to be defensive because there's those small chance effects in Jar Jar's kit.
Yeah,
where it's like, dude, on the off chance, you're the guy you said that on defense. On the off chance that you're the guy that it happens to, you're random. Like you bring in Malgus, and Malgus gets insta killed by Jar Jar's basic, and you're just like, no way. You just like absolutely ruin someone's day. It would be hilarious.
But then there's no proof that it ever happened, which sucks.
Well, I haven't seen it, but I've heard that when he gets the insta kill, it plays a cutscene.
Okay.
That's what I've been hearing. But that's why I think also the shield generator is actually really hard to get to.
Oh, and it's resilient AF also.
Yeah, it with Jar Jar especially, it has so many stacks of plasma shielding to start. But so I'm just a little bit worried about if they go the route of essentially nullifying the advantages of all of the older meta teams, like with the percent health effects,
right?
That all of a sudden you're going to end up with like all the old teams just are going to be useless. They're just not going to be worth going for from a PvP perspective anymore. But like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to predict where exactly it's going to fall. It just seems like certain teams like Troopers, like CLS, are constantly losing value with every new team that comes out, because every new team that comes out,
even stuff like Iden is falling, and she's new,
so they can't be troopered, and they dunk on CLS. Those are like the two conditions that like every team that comes out, they all meet those criteria. Camp Trooper and CLS is totally ineffective.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just worried that that is just going to like dumpster those teams eventually. Because the other thing that's going to happen is the game's kind of bloated. And there's so many teams.
Hell yeah.
And you keep adding more and more and more, which they should, but they're going to have to implement some sort of solution for us having
Datacrons were supposed to be this solution.
Amount of teams.
Datacrons were supposed to be that meta. Everybody's roster is exactly the same. How do we make the game fresh? Datacrons was supposed to be the answer to that, and it kind of is, but isn't enough. And the power creep definitely doesn't help with that, especially when Datacrons basically, that this next Datacron set's gonna have a Gungan team, a Gungan faction thing on it. So it's going to be the best team by a country mile. It's going to beat everything or be impossible to kill on defense.
Yep. But I mean, I do like some of the things with Datacrons, like what they did with Sidious.
Yeah.
I like that. Turning Chirrut and Baze into essentially a GL squad.
Oh,
that's awesome.
It is.
That's great.
I honestly think that I think people they ascribed malice almost to the release of Datacrons, but I really think that Datacrons were their attempt to make the meta fresh so that we kept playing, because everybody I face in Kyber 2, Kyber 1, every single roster is exactly the same. The only differences between rosters are mods and Datacrons. That's it. And it's boring, but Datacrons make it a little spicier.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when you get like a ton of random stat rolls, as much as I hate rolling accuracy 3 times in a row. It does create a variance and a variety where you have to allocate like which team gets the good Datacrons and which team gets the lesser Datacrons, the worst stats, that type of thing. So I think that does help, but I think they're going to have to add something more structural to fix some of the issues.
Oh, well, there's a million things they could do, and I don't think any of the answers are good. They all come with like significant downsides, whether it be raising the size of the board in GAC, or somehow in another way artificially restricting the meta like they try to do with Datacrons. Like any option they try, it's going to hurt somebody's feelings. And probably
maybe, but I mean, I could see something like I just came up with this on the spot, and this is kind of out of the way, but
no, you're fine.
What if? So I was thinking one way to do it is seasonal bans on characters, which that's not a great idea.
I was
that
thinking
would suck. People would hate
exactly that as a horrible option.
if you did it in a different way, what if you said there are essentially every GAC week you could choose, there'd be certain squads that you could choose to put in, like, you know, some games have those things where like you send the characters you're not using out on missions to get you salvage, and they like earn you materials passively. What if you could do that, and depending on the relic levels or the power levels of the team you placed in there, and it would be like Inquisitors or like Empire, and you'd have to place a team in there for that week, and every week at roster lock you could choose whether or not you want to put a team in there or use it for GAC. And then if you did put that team in there, it would get you
like platooning
materials,
in
crystals. Yeah, like platooning.
Okay.
So you'd essentially platoon your GAC roster that you think you can live without to net you extra rewards, so that it would always be a choice of I could get extra rewards and at the same time still, I think, be able to do well enough in GAC. And then you could like have that switch out and keep it fresh while not forcing people to like lose a part of their roster.
I've heard similar ideas, and it's a good idea. They'd have to nail the balancing though. If they didn't,
they would
absolutely nail the balancing, people would throw a fit. So it'd be really.
Well, but I see. So that's what I think. Like, what's there to throw a fit about? You don't have to put your squad in there. You can just ignore it completely.
There'll be the people that ignore it completely, then complain that this person that doesn't ignore it is beating me. Like people were doing for Datacrons for a minute. Like,
but I mean, that would be a good way to use that, because everybody, especially like up top of Kyber, everybody complains about, man, I have all these teams and I never use them. Like there's just no room to use them. So if you could, that would be kind of like targeted towards end game players, while also providing an option for mid game players to say, you know what, I'm willing to take a hit this GAC and to get like some extra rewards or like some extra gear crystals. You know what? What if they supplemented Zeta income with that? Oh. Then you could be like, hey, you know what? I really need extra Zetas. And so I'm going to sacrifice
put a ton of characters into the platoons, and I'll get more Zetas on the back end.
I'll just suck at GAC for the next couple weeks, and then I'll come out of it with, you know, a bunch of extra Zeta mats because I really need Zetas, and I'm willing to sacrifice my performance in GAC for a week to do
That's an excellent idea. Man, I don't know if anybody would actually do it, though. People are very attached to their skill level in GAC. I know that I am.
Well, but there are teams, like you look at the top end players that they're just not using.
There's a half dozen teams that are either mostly relic or fully relic that I don't use at all, that I could easily just set off to the bench. Sometimes I wind up having to scrape the bottom of the barrel and use them. But generally speaking,
so that would be the risk you would take if you wanted to platoon some of your things. But anyway, I think that would be fun, or something like that. I think there's ways they can get creative and do things to allow people to use their roster more without making decisions that force people to feel like they're wasting their roster.
Yeah.
Such as bans. But that was very off topic. The final thing we have to discuss for today is the PC client first updates. Yes. I am in the beta. So is the Lisol. So
I just found out just an hour ago.
Yeah. So a couple of first impressions. One, the graphical fidelity is amazing. Okay. It runs so smooth.
Yeah.
And especially the fleet battles look amazing. They're so fun to watch. They did add a little bit of screen shake, which is like, I'm not sure how I feel about that, but
that's probably something you'll get accustomed to. Yeah. I've only looked at the menu, but it looks fantastic. Phenomenal.
Yeah. So a couple things on the menus. They didn't just like port over the mobile one. Like you can see like 40. Wait, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 40. So you can see 40 characters on your screen at once in the character view. Like you can just see so many characters.
Oh man.
And that's like the same for like your squads and ships. Like, you know, your squads, you always have to like scroll down so far because you have so many tabs created in your squads.
Yeah.
I can see almost all of mine now. I can see like probably like 15 to 18 of those tabs all at once, which is really nice. It's a little overwhelming at the start, but it's really nice to be able to just see all that. And then when you're looking at your shipments and stuff, you don't have to spend 3 years scrolling down to get to the thing you want. It's literally just in your face right away, which is really, really cool. So I like those things. The game looks better. The menus are expanded, so it's nicer. Also, in the store, you get everything in the store has the little minus 5% web store discount.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to put a screenshot. It might just be directly over your head. Let's see if oh no, it won't. Darn, I can't do it without opening up a bunch of stuff. But this is, legit. I'm looking at 9 times 5, 45 characters all at once in And the squads, oh my goodness, it's so much better. And it looks just nicer.
Yeah, it's crisp. It's crisp.
Yeah. Maybe I've got it running at a much higher FPS than I do in BlueStacks. Now, do you think we'll be able to multi-box out of the same? Because I don't think it's gonna work.
I don't think they want you to do that. I don't think they want you to have multiple accounts.
Yeah. So I'm gonna still have to have BlueStacks for my alt.
Yeah, and you're gonna feel the difference. It's gonna be like, oh man, I have to go to BlueStacks. Another thing,
it's gonna be like wearing wet socks.
Another point off on this one is, of course, there is not a by default integrated way to airplane mode.
I never used the airplane mode functionality, so it does not bother me.
One thing that is really nice though, sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Is all of like the things are bound to keys and you can fully customize those key bindings.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. Every screen I go to, it's got to download an update to do it. So,
and that's what you were seeing. Some people were seeing like the arrows on your reinforcements and ship battles.
Yes, that was blowing my mind. And then I was like, oh, I got it after a few tries. I was like, okay, I see what they're doing here.
It's the PC. So you can optimize all of those if you want to be a super efficient keyboard warrior at this game. You are able to do that. Will I do that? Probably not, because it's more of a strategy game. It's a bit slower paced. This is like the type of customization I would expect to see on like an RTS game, not a turn-based.
I'm going to flex my elder millennial cred here. I don't know if you're familiar with Pure Ownage. It's like one of the original like web shows about gaming and whatever. But it was called Uber Micro. In order to be really good at RTSs, you needed to have Uber Micro, which is just using your left hand on the keyboard. So, you could get really, really sweaty with those keyboard bindings, but I'm a nice, lazy player. I like to swoop my mouse around and click on everything.
Yeah, well, what it's nice for is like the off-screen ones. Like, for example, by default, you don't see guilds, you don't see fleets. So if I want to go to my fleet challenges, I can just click U and then A, and I'm into my fleet challenges, and then I just hit escape twice and I'm back. So like being able to just be like, I want to go to my fleet challenges, I don't have to scroll over, click fleets. I can just U, A.
Oh, dude, boom. This is actually awesome. Yeah, so you can just, maybe I will get really sweaty with it.
And since it's on PC, it's very snappy. Anything that doesn't have to contact the servers is very, very snappy. So all your navigation in game is
it's quick.
Very,
I like it. I like it. I'm happy with it. Not being able to multi-box kind of sucks, but I'll just have to live with it.
Also, I know in BlueStacks we just close the window, like hit the X. Don't do that. It errors out. I mean, it'll still close and it'll be fine, but like that's not how you're supposed to do it. You actually go to settings and then hit exit game.
All right.
And it does save your settings and stuff. So like I was trying to set up my stream to use the new one or the PC version, and it does save your settings. So you can close it.
Open up in the same settings every time. All right.
Yeah.
No, I'm very happy with it. It just looks nice. It's nice and
it does. Yeah. Once you get playing around, like go through a few squad arena, fleet arena, just mess around with it.
Yeah, I will.
The battles feel nice. It just looks nicer. It feels a little bit more epic. It's not like anything earth-shattering, but it's nice, and I like it.
It's nice to see them work on something like this, because it means that the game's going to be here for a while. They don't intend on pulling the plug anytime soon. If they were willing to put the time and the resources into creating a whole PC client.
Yep. And that's another thing that's been kind of worrying is like Disney Sorcerer Arena just shut down.
Oh, did it?
Yep. And earlier this year,
I played that for a minute.
Loader Home, obviously CG absolutely butchered. Got sunset after less than a year.
I played that in the beta for a minute, and I got to like level 30 or so. So like 2-3 days of playing, and I was like, this is like SWGOH, but just not very good.
Well, yeah, but by a year in, they had one raid, and that was it. It was Squad Arena and a raid. that was the only features they had in the game.
I don't remember what SWGOH was like at 1 year, but it wasn't great.
Yeah. So, but they it just wasn't worth the money, yada, yada, yada. And so that's why I was kind of getting worried. I'm like, oh, Disney Source Arena's gone. Like now it's literally just like Marvel Strike Force and SWGOH left standing.
Yeah. Well, you got
in terms
the
of
Raid
this
Shadow
type
Legends of the world and all that, which.
Yeah, but that's I feel like
Are you
Marvel's
talking like
Strike
IPs that already existed?
Yeah, well, I'm talking more about this style where it's like an intentional character collector. It's not random. I hate the random loot boxes. It's like I can go farm a node. That's the kind of when I say hero collector, I mean I can choose who I want to farm, and I can go and farm the node. And then that's like a lot of the games that are like this are more of a gacha style where you have to open packs with a random chance to get a hero.
Right.
And I hate
there's no random. Well, I mean, there is.
There is, but really most of this game is about you planning and your return on investment.
If you play the game, you will get the things that you want eventually.
Yeah, and it won't be random, though. You can work towards the things you want. Whereas in those other games, you're like, I want this person, but I may never get them. Well, I mean, eventually you will, but it may take me a really long time and an indefinite period of time because there's no consistent way to farm it. And that's what I think MSF, Disney Source Arena, SWGOH, and Loader before it died brought to the table was the ability for you to choose. Right. And so that's what I think was that differentiated it from the other similar ones. I know there's Arthur's Rise or whatever like that new one that was super flashy and stuff, but it was just random packs, same old flashy, really good graphics, awesome effects and stuff. But it was just, there wasn't enough to hook me.
Graphics and a game, good graphics are very nice, but just graphics is nothing. It's
The random chance packs, that's what kills the game for me.
Oh yeah.
I can farm and work towards something. Gamers like to grind. We want to grind at a game and we want it to be rewarding. We don't like random chance, although some is necessary in moderation in order to ensure that the game is fresh. But we don't like random chance when it comes to our grinds.
Well, and that's the RNG comes in how much of what you get that you're working towards your goal that you get. Not
exactly.
Are you going to get it? Am I going to get these shards? Well, yes. But today I might get 1. Tomorrow I might get 0. Day after that I might get 3.
Yeah, and then I'll get 12 randomly on one day. I'm just oh wow, sick. Actually, I think 10's the highest you can get. But anyway, so that wraps it up for our topics on this one.
Remember the multiple times we said we weren't going to take forever?
Oh yes. Hey, if we hadn't said that, it would have been longer.
Quite possibly. I feel we showed restraint today.
Yeah, I agree.
At least a little bit more than last time. Hopefully next time we can improve again.
Yeah, we'll get there. We're working on it, guys. Anyway, really enjoy you guys.
Pass out.
Yeah. Really grateful you guys watched. Hope you guys enjoyed. We really enjoy doing this. So thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you again next time.
Peace out.